Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A symbol of pride for LGBTQ+ students now flies over San Diego Unified Headquarters as the district faces some serious legal allegations against its leadership. Thank you for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. The pride flag was raised today, celebrating diversity. KPBS education reporter MG Perez was there and has more on that and what the superintendent and board of trustees are dealing with as the school year ends.
My name is Jacqueline Tomas. I use she, her pronouns.
They tell personal stories about the person they know themselves to be.
If you feel alone, allow me to explain that you are not.
I am, and have always been, queer, non-binary, and, most important, me.
For the past several years, students in the LGBTQ+ community and their supporters have raised the pride flag over the San Diego Unified Headquarters just before the start of Pride Month. They are supported by leaders, starting with the superintendent.
They want to be seen and they want to be heard the way they want to be seen and heard, not the way that others see them.
Dr. Lamont Jackson has now been superintendent for 2 years, a tenure tangled with potential teacher layoffs, funding shortfalls, and most recently, pending litigation. This lawsuit was filed late last year by a group of the district's police officers, claiming Chief Alfonso Contreras created a hostile work environment with allegations of sexual harassment as well. Last Friday, the district announced Contreras' immediate retirement after less than 2 years in that position. Last week, we also learned school board trustees have hired the Los Angeles firm of Sanchez and Amador at the cost of $100,000 to investigate what the contract calls a sensitive internal issue. Nothing more is known about the two pending legal actions. What we do know is that Dr. Jackson is also named in that lawsuit, and KPBS News has confirmed that he is the subject of the investigation being conducted by the Los Angeles law firm. After that, there is no other comment from the district. At today's flag-raising event, Jackson did say this.
Our board, our leadership team, our educators, our classified staff have proven that the community can continue to count on us.
There is a vote of confidence for the district from students, too.
Pride Month is about saying we are in this together. It's about being prideful for our community.
MG Perez, KPBS News.
San Diego County fire and safety officials can now give residents more precise evacuation alerts. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says it's possible because of software called Genesis.
The software allows fire and safety officials to map evacuation zones within the county based on things like population density and nearby roads. Rancho Santa Fe Fire Chief Dave McQueed says that will help plan evacuations more strategically.
This becomes more systematic so that we're not creating congestion if we had just blanketed it out a large evacuation plan with no thought and process here.
It will also let officials lift evacuation orders more precisely. County Emergency Services Director Jeff Toney says that could allow people to get back home more quickly.
The new zones will limit unnecessary evacuations and make repopulation more efficient to get people back into their homes sooner.
San Diego County residents can sign up for emergency alerts to their cell phones or email at alertsandiego.org. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection is suspending outdoor residential burn permits starting Saturday as peak fire season begins. That means residents can't burn branches, leaves, or other debris. CAL FIRE recommends clearing all dead or dying vegetation at least 100 feet around homes and other structures. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Well, looking ahead to tonight, we are tracking some areas of low clouds, especially near the coast. Heads up, if you're traveling late or even early tomorrow, you may run into some lowered visibility and some tricky travel. Now tonight, we're dropping down to a low of 60. We're going to track how temperatures play out here throughout the rest of the week into the weekend, and also who could see some gusty winds and how long those low clouds will stick around.
A sailor convicted of selling military secrets to a foreign intelligence agent was sentenced to 18 years in prison today. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer was in the military courtroom and has more.
Chief Fire Controlman Bryce Petticini had been in the Navy 15 years in 2022 when he received a message on Facebook from a woman claiming to be a researcher from Japan. Over the next year, Petticini wrote a series of white papers on Navy tactics. Broken in debt, he was paid $1,000 for each of 8 papers he wrote. But prosecutors say those papers contained classified information, and the woman was a foreign intelligence agent. Petticini was arrested last year after he reported to the guided missile destroyer USS Higgins in Japan. With access to more classified information on the Aegis missile system, Petticini offered more intel in exchange for more money. He was arrested while attempting to send photos from a classified workspace to the agent. Petticini told the judge yesterday he knew his choices were foolish and wrong, and he never meant any harm to the United States. Prosecutors say the chief cashed in on his security clearance. In addition to his 18 years in prison, the military judge demoted Petticini to E1 and gave him a dishonorable discharge. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
The 12-person jury in former President Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial started deliberations today. There's a lot at stake for the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, and he talked all about it when he left the courtroom today. Julia Benbrook has those details.
Former President Donald Trump faces 34 counts of falsifying business records, stemming from a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016 to cover up an alleged affair. Trump denies the affair and has pleaded not guilty.
Mother Teresa could not beat those charges.
Court was in session for more than 10 hours on Tuesday as both sides made extensive final pitches to the jury. It's now up to 12 Manhattan residents to decide if Trump is guilty or not guilty. A felony conviction of a former president and the presumptive 2024 Republican nominee would be unprecedented.
We can't ignore the fact that this is a former president of the United States. And this trial is the first of its kind, but this jury understands the magnitude of that as well.
The jury must be unanimous in its decision. As they deliberate, they can ask questions about the case to the court through handwritten notes. The jury deliberation process could take days or even weeks.
You can't sort of maybe in elegant terms, you can't BS a jury. They sort of get it, and they're going to go in there and try to figure out what they agree about, and then what areas need to be discussed and fleshed out that they don't agree on.
If Trump is convicted, the judge could sentence Trump to probation or up to 4 years each count in state prison, with a maximum of 20 years. Reporting in Manhattan, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The U.S. presidential election is still months away, but Mexico's presidential election is happening this weekend. We've been highlighting what's at stake for our region in the election, from cross-border pollution to economic impacts. If you want to learn more, KPBS is hosting a virtual conversation in both English and Spanish about the election. You can watch it at 5:30 tonight after Evening Edition at kpbs.org or stream it on the KPBS YouTube and Facebook pages. Coronado has been out of compliance with state affordable housing laws for 3 years. Now its city council has signed off on a series of zoning updates that could finally fix that. KPBS South Bay reporter Corey Suzuki says the city made it just before the state's deadline.
A church, a grocery store, a police station. These are a few of the buildings that the Coronado City Council has agreed to rezone, allowing more homes to be built on these sites in the future.
Motion carries, all voting aye.
Last month, the council voted unanimously for a number of code and zoning updates that could open the door for developers to add more than 900 new homes to the city by the end of the decade.
This item is almost certainly the most consequential land use item that will be considered by the city over the last couple of decades.
California requires all cities and counties to plan for a certain amount of new affordable homes every 8 years to address the housing shortage, support growing communities, and reduce ongoing effects of racial segregation. Coronado has been staring down a deadline to get these changes done. Almost 3 years ago, city leaders openly defied the state's requirements to plan for more affordable housing. Last October, California's Attorney General took the city to court. The judge gave Coronado a deadline, April 16th, to pass a new housing plan and updated zoning to match. Last month, city officials voted to pass that updated plan.
This is a situation none of us want to be in, but I fully support this motion because it does minimize the impact on our community to the greatest extent possible.
A week later, they passed the zoning changes, with less than a day to spare. State housing officials say these latest changes probably will be enough to meet their requirements. If they approve Coronado's updates, that would bring the city back in line with California housing law for the first time in 3 years. The state has until June 11th to make a final decision. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
Vista residents are pushing back against the county's plan to purchase the Green Oak Ranch. The 142-acre property has been around for decades. It includes an affordable housing RV park, a men's drug and alcohol recovery program, and it's been the site of children's camps since the 50s. The county says the ranch could open up 200 beds for people in treatment. But in a meeting last night, residents shared their own ideas for the land, including a training facility for firefighters or a youth sports field.
We don't have enough infrastructure. We don't have enough sheriffs right now that can even handle what's already going on in our town.
This land should belong to Vista. It's in Vista. Vista needs to purchase the land. So that's why I just started spreading the word.
In last night's closed session, staff were directed to obtain an appraisal of the property.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, jury deliberation is underway in Manhattan in the criminal hush money trial of former President Donald Trump. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
An estimated 1 in 13 children have food allergies in the U.S., and nuts can cause some of the most dangerous allergic reactions. But as Mandy Gaither explains, a new study suggests a way to help reduce risk of nut allergies from ever developing.
It's a potentially life-threatening allergy. Nuts can impair breathing and send the body of a person allergic to them into shock. While there's no cure for food allergies like this one, a new study suggests peanut allergies can be avoided by feeding children peanut products when they're infants.
Not only does that prevent peanut allergy in early childhood, but that effect is actually persistent.
Dr. Drew Bird with the American Academy of Pediatrics, UT Southwestern, and Children's Health recommends parents give peanut products to children starting between 4 and 6 months of age.
That effect of giving that frequent exposure to peanut early in life was really persistent and effective, and really saved many of these children who were at high risk of having peanut allergy from having that lifelong disease.
Bird says parents should start children on solids like soft or pureed fruits or veggies. Once they can tolerate that, move on to thinned out peanut butter.
Mix it with either breast milk or water or the child's formula or a vegetable or fruit puree, and get it really soft and soupy. So like those stage 1 consistencies that we feed our children.
Bird says to start small and gradually increase the amount. Researchers recommend parents work up to 6 grams of peanut products every week until the age of 5. But consistency is key.
Once you get it in there, keep it in the diet, and that it can have really lifetime benefit.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dollar Tree is moving into dozens of closed 99-cents only stores. The company announced it acquired leases for 170 99-cents only stores in California, as well as Arizona, Nevada, and Texas. Dollar Tree hasn't provided a list of exact locations yet. 99 Cents Only filed for bankruptcy in April and closed all of its locations. Dollar Tree is planning to reopen these stores with its own products under its own branding this fall. Walgreens is slashing prices to lure back inflation-weary shoppers turned off by high prices. Today, the chain announced that it's cutting prices on over 1,500 items online and at its stores. The price cuts apply to both name brands and store brands. Walgreens joins other big retailers like Walmart, Target, and Amazon that have also lowered their prices. This comes after retailers hiked up prices as inflation spiked in recent years. After favoring sports, academics, and other pursuits over the last few summers, teens are headed back to work, and inflation may be a key driver. Karen Kafa explains why more teens will pick up more summer jobs and how to start the search.
Teens are expected to job hunt in a big way this summer, and some key sectors will welcome the help.
Jobs that teens typically usually fill, recreation, food service, a lot of those employers in those sectors are having a hard time filling those roles. And so in some ways, the teen summer surge couldn't come at a better time.
A report by outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas forecasts teens will see an additional 1.3 million jobs in May, June, and July. This, as the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed more than 5.8 million teens between age 16 and 19 employed during the month of April, an increase from about 5.7 million the year prior. Challenger says part of the push is the squeeze of inflation on teens and families. Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst at Bankrate, says the job market is in their favor.
The good news here is that the job market remains strong. There is more demand for workers than there is supply of workers.
Aaron Terrazas, chief economist at Glassdoor, says employers realize teens won't come to interviews with lengthy resumes, but a teen does need to show up ready to work.
They do want to see is some signal of persistence, dedication, and that this employee is going to be a reliable worker.
And Hamrick says the financial lessons of a summer job can go beyond the workplace.
The experience, not to mention the income that's associated with real work, is something that is very meaningful and important for the development of all young people.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
KPBS News is out with a new 6-part video podcast. It's called Stripper Energy, Fighting Back from the Fringes. Here's a look.
When I was closing up Les Girls, the parking lot was empty. I went out to my car, and there were still 3 guys there, and they won't let me leave. They have my car door. They're laughing. They think it's funny. And so I take my gun, and I pointed it at them, and I said, I've asked you really nicely. I have to get home. Oh, the look on their face. So that was a little bit of my stripper energy. I was not going to let anybody frighten me.
The second episode is out June 5th. And joining me to talk more about it is the creator and host, KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you.
So in your podcast, we hear more from former stripper Kata Pierce Morgan, who fought for dancers' rights. How did you find out about Kata's life story?
Well, she does fringe shows, international fringe shows every year, and she's been turning the history of Les Girls into these shows. So every year I would go to cover her show, I would get this little nugget more about Les Girls and about her history and about the abuse the dancers put up with and the fights that she had. And her plays were all about social justice, and bit by bit I was getting the story, and when this fellowship came up at KPBS, I thought this was a really great idea for a fellowship story.
Only on KPBS. Why was it important for you to highlight the experiences of dancers from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and why is that still relevant today?
Well, I think it's relevant because they represented a marginalized community, and that exists to this day, and those communities are different. You can find, you know, some of it's based on race or religion. This happened to be that strippers and exotic dancers and adult entertainment workers were stigmatized, and so when things happened to them that were wrong, nobody really cared, and they didn't really have a voice or a place to go. And I think that's something that continues on today in different communities and that we can always learn from.
Sadly, that's not really surprising, but was there anything that you were surprised to learn?
Well, the thing that probably surprised me the most is that Kata would always give me these little nuggets of information about Les Girls' history and her. Well, when I went to do like my first kind of official interview with her, she had She has like 150 boxes of documents dating back 50 years. She didn't throw away anything. Her husband, James Morgan, was the same way. And so she has all these dancer arrest records, letters that they wrote, you know, responses from internal affairs, all this stuff, and photos too, archival photos of the strippers, of the locations. And so it was just this rich history that I wanted to share. And she also has audio cassettes, video cassettes, old news reports. So I just thought it was a really rich history to look into, and especially to do a video podcast.
Yeah, for us TV reporters, got to have something visual to tell the story, so that's good. What has been the response to the video podcast so far?
Well, I'm really happy that the response has been good and that people are interested in her story. I've had people also say, like, oh, when I was in college, my roommate was a stripper and she had to hide the fact that that's what she did because she felt that it was stigmatized. She had to do this code switching. So what I'm hoping it does is that this positive response means that they're responding to her story and seeing these women as not just human, but also as these fighters who were standing up for themselves.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Beth. Again, the series is Stripper Energy, Fighting Back from the Fringes. You can watch the first episode now on YouTube or go to kpbs.org/stripperenergy.
Well, let's start you off with your weather headlines, what you need to know as we head over the next few days. Well, we're going to break it down for you here. Gusty winds across the mountains and deserts, especially during the late afternoon and evening hours. Now, we are talking about a fluctuating marine layer. All in all, we are tracking some areas of low clouds, especially there along the coast, but also spreading into our inland valleys as well. Steady temperatures for the most part, a little bit of a roller coaster, but it's really like a kiddie roller coaster there, not necessarily big temperature swings. San Diego tonight 60, Oceanside 56, Borrego Springs 67, and Mount Laguna you're dropping down to the mid 50s. As we head into tomorrow, you'll see that sun. San Diego, you're flirting with 70, Borrego Springs in the triple digits, 105 here for the high. Of course, just make sure you're taking care of yourself in the heat. Mount Laguna 70, and even Ramona at 82. Now, over these next few days here, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, along the coast, we are tracking overall relatively steadier temperatures, though we are also dealing with those low clouds that I mentioned earlier, so please stay weather aware, though it is staying mostly pleasant even as we head into next week. Now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, high still in the 70s there for areas further inland, and well, that story does stay the same Sunday and Monday. As for the mountains, nice Thursday, you're at 70, but then we're back down to the 60s there throughout the weekend, back up to 75 by Monday. You'll certainly feel the warmth there. Though the deserts, you're going to stay warm, very warm and hot here over the next few days. Really not going to be changing too much. Highs running in the triple digits there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Could dip a little bit on Sunday, but back up to 102 by Monday. Though I do want to note that heat builds June 4th through the 7th as that high pressure strengthens. We have a significant warming trend across the southwest. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
An orphaned Southern Sea otter pup has found a new home at SeaWorld San Diego. Ray was rescued after being stranded at Morro Bay back in August. She was just 3 days old at the time. State biologists tried to locate Ray's mother to reunite them, but they couldn't find her. They decided she wouldn't be able to survive in the wild on her own, so she was taken to Monterey Bay Aquarium. There, Ray underwent treatment over health concerns related to her liver. At 10 months old, Ray is improving but is not fit to return to the wild. She was transferred to SeaWorld in February, where officials say she is getting along swimmingly. The San Diego County Fair is still 2 weeks away, but today, KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen got a sneak peek of what you can expect.
San Diego County Fair is drumming up excitement for this year's edition.
And to show our community a really great time.
Of course, there are fair staples, animals, rides, and food, but Chief Operating Officer Katie Mueller says there are lots of new and exciting things as well.
We'll be using our brand new entertainment venue that just opened up in February of 2023. For the first time during the fair, we'll be holding entertainment shows in there, and they're theatrical productions that combine lights, music, sound, dance.
And with a retro theme this year, the fair will bring back the nostalgia of the past, from the 50s to the 90s, with exhibits showcasing relics such as Game Boys and DVD-ROMs. Remember those? And we can't forget about the food. Mueller says there will be food that the fair's never had before. And of course, Chicken Charlie's.
I love people's faces when we come up with something new. Every year we gotta beat the year before.
And this year, it's this, funnel cake dog. It's a hot dog inside funnel cake batter, topped with maple syrup and powdered sugar.
We've all had corn dogs. Everybody's had a corn dog. This takes corn dogs to a whole nother level.
Of course, I had to sample some of the food there, including another one of Chicken Charlie's invention, bacon-wrapped pickle. So after a long day of eating your way through the fair, you can come to Destination Unknown and have a relaxing drink. Destination Unknown is the fair speakeasy, and this year it's disco-themed.
The speakeasy is also like a good location just to stop and take a break for a little bit before you guys walk the whole fair again.
To find the speakeasy, you need an invitation. Just look for someone dressed like a mirror ball. The fair opens June 12th and runs through July 7th. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Voters in Mexico are likely to elect their first woman president this weekend. NPR's Morning Edition is examining whether that could change anything for women in the country. And from art in Oceanside to a musical festival in North Park, KPBS Midday Edition will have a preview of the best in arts and culture this weekend. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm John Carroll. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.